Orange Business. Spotlight on East Orange Business is your community and business affairs program that is dedicated to highlighting the work of entrepreneurs, business owners, and businesses that serve the residents of the East Orange, New Jersey community. I am Anna Banks, your host. And today we will be continuing a conversation about building a legacy brick by brick. This show is sponsored by Thrive Leadership Institute, and it airs on Tuesday evenings at 6:30 on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Now, the late Jim Rohn once said, all good men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to a level that we could only imagine. As we continue our celebration of African American History Month, we are all called to take responsibility for creating legacy. And today we have in the studio three gentlemen that will be talking about the legacy project at the Ambrose-Ward Mansion. In our studio today, we have Keith Pressy. We also have Reverend Roland Whitley, and we have Charles Craig, Esquire. And so before we get started, let me just let you know a little bit about these gentlemen. Starting with Mr. Keith Pressy. Now, I didn't put a reverend or a esquire behind his name. However, this man is still quite lettered. Let me say that he is a highly motivated and experienced public administrator in the area of programming, community, and community engagement and development. Mr. Pressy, aka Keith, now serves as the African American Fund of New Jersey as their Director of Community Government Affairs and the housing manager, and I dare say the visionary architect for the project at the Ambrose-Ward Mansion. In his role, he has led the restoration and the reopening of the historic mansion by helping secure grant funding for the interior and exterior modifications of that property. Next on our list is someone who has facilitated some of that restoration. His name is the Reverend Roland Whitley, and he is the managing partner of the Neighborhood Planning and Architectural Design, Inc. It's a full-service planning, urban design, and architectural firm that was established in 1998. Now, what's critical about his part in this is that his expertise is on national and state landmark facilities, of which our Ambrose-Ward Mansion is definitely one. And one of our guests tonight will speak a little bit more about that. Our third gentleman is Charles Craig. Now, he is not a person that has walked away from a number of things, especially because of his community involvement. He is the founder, one of the founders, I should say, and the chairman emeritus of the Black United Fund of New Jersey, which is now known as the African American Fund of New Jersey, which is New Jersey's leading Black philanthropic organization. Charles's part in this project, he will explain a little bit more to us in a few minutes. And so, gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome to Spotlight on East Orange Business.
Thank
Hello?
you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure, are our mics working?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I feel welcome.
Excellent introduction.
All righty. So, gentlemen, first of all, Keith, could you just start by telling us what is this project at the mansion?
Well, the project itself is part of the revitalization and restoration of the mansion. And the part that we're talking about, Legacy Park, is the exterior grounds of the mansion, of which we are looking to revitalize and provide a refreshing look and feel for the community and to the property itself.
Okay. And so, like, whose brainchild was this, and who are the people that are facilitating all of this?
Well, it always happens from a thought, and that thought leads into a dialogue of which so many of us contribute to. Who had the thought first? I'd be selfish to say it wasn't me, maybe. But I can't take credit for what has taken place there. There's so many people involved in ensuring that this project takes place, and also adding to, within the dialogue, adding to the necessary components that are relevant to make this happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, Mr. Craig, tell me, what is the Black United Fund, or I should say the African American Fund? What is its part in this entire piece?
Well, Black United Fund, or now known as African American Fund of New Jersey, owns the facility. We've owned it since about 1985. With the help of Green Acres Funds, but purchased with a view of having it be our headquarters facility. We purchased it at a time that the building was in disrepair, somewhat disrepair, and it was our intent to rebuild, refresh, regenerate not only the building but the community outside what that building serves, the South Harrison Street corridor.
Yeah. So, I've heard a little bit of the history of that area. Perhaps you could add a little bit more color to why is there only one mansion left? Because I understand that this was like Mansion Row at one point.
I wish I knew the answer to that question. I can tell you that when we purchased this building, was our intention to make sure that this place stayed open, and we wanted to rebuild it back to its old grandeur. I really don't know the answer to why it was the only one left, but it's still there, and it is vibrant, and we want to continue to make it vibrant and make it a necessary part of the East Orange history and community. And lastly, I'll just say that we want this building to be a respite and and the plans that we have for the outside grounds, exterior grounds, front and back. We hope to complete that phase such that the community will continue to be inquisitive about what's going on at this place and come and join us and help us as we revitalize not only the building, but the street and the town, and offer resources to the community outside of that facility.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. It's just that it's such a grand building. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about the legacy of the building? I know that it is one of the historic landmarks, and either of you can take that.
Keith, you want to take that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
The historic It is an
The history of the
historical.
building. Yes, absolutely. Well, it all started out again with a thought and vision, and this thought and vision was through the Vanderbilt family, who commissioned the property to be built back in the early 1890s. The project was completed 1896. However, the Vanderbilt family never moved in the property. It is said that the Vanderbilt family had the same identical property commissioned to be built in New Hyde Park and selected to live in New Hyde Park as opposed to Mansion Row in East Orange. The property was sold to the Ambrose family, who was into publishing. It was a publishing company, as from what I'm told, a very large publishing company. They lived there for several years prior to them selling it to the Ward family, who are minority business partners with the potential insurance company. From that point, the Ward family lived there until about 1930, 1932. And at that time, they sold it to the Knapp Funeral Home, Knapp with a K, Knapp. They sold to the Knapp Funeral Home. And it's been a funeral home for over 40 some odd years. I believe it was 48 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, for whatever reason, they sold and left the property. And it was sold to a Miss Wellington. And Miss Wellington, she had a publishing company in East Orange, right there on Park Avenue and Washington Street, Park and Washington Street. Currently, the building that they operated out is now a charter school, East Orange Charter School. However, Miss Wellington, as of just a few years ago, was still alive, very much alive, and she currently lives in South Orange. She came back to the building, and after we told her, well, let me digress and let me finish with the history. After,
and I'm going to ask you just to, if you could get to how it became a landmark. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
great.
Wow. It was placed on a registry by Miss Wellington. Ms. Wellington submitted the information to the historic preservation because with her owning the property, she always wanted to entertain. She did quite a few fundraisers for gubernatorial races and Senate races and congressional races. So I'm not sure what year she submitted it, but it is available. The information is available online as to when it was actually commissioned to be on the National Historic Landmark.
I think it was finalized by the Wolstein family, who I think purchased it from Ms. Wellington at the time she put it up for sale. The Wolstein family was the family that Black United Fund of New Jersey purchased the building from.
Okay.
And there's only 3 buildings currently in East Orange that are landmark, and our building is one.
That's great. And so, could you share? I know that there are particular kind of landscape elements that enhance, that renew, revitalize a historical function, a historical and national landmark. Could you share with us what some of those things are and how you and your firm, are a part of this?
Yeah, I want to thank you very much. I have to thank the African American Fund for believing in us and giving us the opportunity to come in and many years ago to start the renovation of the building. We actually started many years ago on the interior of the building, working through that to restore that facility, and thankful that we were able to do that. We also began to do the exterior raised patios, which I think lead right into Legacy Park, right? So the idea is that it's the exterior of the facility, the grounds that around. So if you look at the facility, if you're coming down Harrison Street, in the front you have the front lawn, and then on the side you have two egress ways, one on one side of the building, other on the other, and then you have a rear parking. Okay, so that's the just the visual, right? And so what we really wanted to do is to capture the architecture that Keith is speaking of, the history, and that the building is a landmark symbol. So we're doing things such as really trying to engage the public in the front lawn, to restore the front lawn back. It's beautiful lawn now, but we're going to add some additional elements in there that are what we call the pavilion. And the pavilion has a patio inside that you can set and relax. And as you can see, when you go into the facility now, it's actually very quiet in the front yard, even though you have South Harrison Street there now. So we really want to capture that. In addition to that, we want to add a water feature, which we think it really is a calmness with the water. It's going to really add additional calm there in the front, as well as with the different and allow. I think this is part of what the legacy was all about. It's also about capturing the legacy of people here now, but at the same time being respectful of the architecture that's there. And so people will be able to buy different pavers, different sizes, and so the walkway will be a way to memorize people who are now want to contribute to the restoration of the exterior grounds. In addition, on the side, as I said earlier, you have two ways of egress, one on one side of the building, one on the other. Well, we're going to restore those two. Over time, the asphalt seems to kind of weather away. And so we will be milling and paving those, as well as reconfiguring the back of the land of the parking lot so that it could be more ADA accessible. I think part of the challenge that we all are dealing with is that more and more people are in need of accessibility in and out of space. So it's not just the grounds, but the grounds become part of the facility. And so we have to create access to allow people to get into the facility. Right now, if you're in a wheelchair, you really can't get into the facility. You can't enjoy the inside. You can enjoy the outside, but even then, you have limited access to where you want that person to come in at. So we really want people to enjoy both the front lawn as well as on the back. We really have to restore that back because it's been some years since there's been any renovation to the or any paving or milling to the exterior parking lot.
Well, I know that I call it the back patio. That thing is just lovely. I could see myself sitting out with a cup of tea or, some iced tea or something like that in the summertime. Oh my goodness, Well, I don't know if I want to look at the parking lot, but
well, I just want to say that what you're standing on is limestone. And so the raised patio and the rear patio, those are 3-inch thick limestone slabs. And they're individual slabs that we had to put back. And so you really get that feeling of what Keith is talking about in the 1800s when they built it, right? That's the beauty about the restoration process, right? Because like you enjoy on the back, I get it. We're gonna have some very nice landscaping. Charles may not tell you, but he's actually a natural landscaper himself. So he loves the flowers. He loves the different.
Now everybody knows.
He got some talents. He has some talents. And so we're excited about that because you're right. I mean, we do want to deal with that fence area in the back. And I think what you see on the right side, you see already a landscaping that's planned that we already begin to do. And it's actually taking root and it's growing and the new trees. So the idea is you see what happens oftentimes in the urban environment, you don't have a space like this, right? You don't have a space to get away, right? We know we got Monty Urban Park, on the corner there, but this space is a space where you can just breathe for a moment, right?
Yeah, and it's also very elegant.
Yes, elegant.
Yes. Those are some of the things that I think that are important in a community. Modern is wonderful, but there needs to also be some elegance. And so Charles, you wanted to add?
Anna, if I may, before we move forward, I just want to self-correct. And I was saying the Wellington family is actually the Wallstein family. I'm sorry. Thank you, Charles, for correcting me. It's the Wallstein family. That was the other family that owned it, of which the African American Fund purchased it from. So you had 5 owners only.
That's amazing. From the mid 1800s.
Right, 5 owners.
Okay. So Charles, you wanted to add something?
Well, I just wanted to speak to your concern about sitting on the patio, your drink, and looking out at a parking lot. But the plan is that you won't see the parking lot. What you will see is some grand arborvitae trees, so that you're going to see greenery, and you won't know that the parking lot is there if we're able to do it. That's what the plan is.
Okay. Well, I did that because, like I said, I had a bottle of water. I had a bottle of water standing out there, and I was like, this could really be
absolutely
really lovely, especially in the spring and the summer.
Absolutely.
It just adds another layer of class to that. So why do you think right now, how do you think that we can connect the community to this particular project? How can they become involved?
Yeah, I just want to add this, and then I think Keith's going to. I just think from an architectural perspective, right? I think what you just said earlier about being elegant, about being sophisticated, but also I think people connect with history.
Yes, they do.
People connect with and respect the fact that we have taken such a drastic step to not only to kind of bring the architecture to the exterior grounds and landscaping and the different features, from the type of pavilion to the water feature and the walking path. But I think that the architecture for me is the passion, right? It's the drive. It's the relief between all of the high-rise buildings that's in that area. So for me, I thought that if we can do it with the architecture to connect the facility with around, and I think with those features is going to really be a great thing. And I want to thank you for your show. I really am excited about everything. I just need to go to my next meeting, but we're excited. I want to leave this. We could not have done this project if it wasn't for African American Fund. And I will say this, that when we were there, we had so many residents walking up, and I was standing out saying that they remember when they were children. They're adults now, and they could not have done their Pop Warner games, their basketball games, and the travel teams they were done if the people in the building who were there, which was African American Fund or the Black United Fund at the time, did not sponsor their teams. So that building is already connected, believe it or not. And I want to thank you very much. And I want to thank the gentleman here, but also Mr. Pressy for what he does. God bless y'all. I have to go now. Bless you.
All right, then. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Wow. Well, that is something. So, Charles, can you just add a little bit more color as to what the it's now called, because I remember when the sign was up, BUF.
Yeah.
I remember that quite well. So could you just tell us a little bit more about the Black United Fund and, outside of its ownership, what is it doing as far as this project or anything at all that you like to share?
Yeah. The African American Fund of New Jersey, which was formerly Black United Fund, or incorporated as Black United Fund of New Jersey, back in 1985, and it was basically the idea of Black employees at ATT Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey, which is basically Berkeley Heights.
Berkeley Heights.
And there were ATT employees outside of Morristown and Whippany, New Jersey, and down in South Jersey in Homedale, in Monmouth County near Asbury Park. But at any rate, the employees we're trying to find a way to contribute money to the NAACP. And their idea was to do so because the NAACP had just got $1 million judgment as against them by the state of Alabama.
Mm.
We're trying to be, quote, I guess today they would say woke, but they were trying to show that they knew what was going on. They wanted to get money to the NAACP. Unfortunately, the NAACP didn't really have it, didn't understand what we were trying to bring them, and that was money. They insisted that maybe we wanted to be a chapter of the NAACP at Bell Labs, which was not the case. So Black United Fund, National Black United Fund came along and said, look, we can let you fund your money anywhere you want to. And so we took that proposal to the powers that be at Bell Laboratories and at AT&T, and they, of course, said no. But we ended up suing in federal court, and the federal courts agreed with us and said that if we're going to have a campaign and ask people to fund to nonprofits, it should be broad. It should not be just limited to United Way. And that was the beginning of us being able to raise money and give to the community, to programs that we said were important.
Yes. Yes.
The Black United Fund was that our mission was for programs and agencies and entities that were run by Black folks, that they ought to be supported by Black folks. If you just don't want to go to white folks and say, oh, United Way said we need some money to do this, that, and the other. We need to take that ownership upon ourselves, and we were able to. And in that regard, we were able to purchase the Ambrose-Ward mansion. We purchased the old Jewish Community Center in Plainfield, and we were able to contribute a significant amount of money to New Jersey PAC, New Jersey Performing Arts Center. And if you go upstairs on the second floor, across from the Chase Room, you will notice that there is a room that is called the Black United Fund of New Jersey Room. They do training and prepare things, getting ready for shows there. And so Black folks were a particular part of building that organization. That was important to us, that they couldn't say that in the city of Newark, Black folks didn't contribute anything to get this built. We did. But that's sort of the emphasis that Black United Fund, African American Fund of New Jersey, wants to take, that we want to take ownership for the things that we say are important to us by making sure they stay alive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if I may, hence the rejection of many developers who wanted to buy the building. We rejected those offers because we want to remain in the community, be a part of the community. Just as Charles Craig stated, in order for us to be relevant, you have to be a part of. You have to continue to be impactful. And we did not want to sell away the building for a developer to come and do what they do. And then next thing you know, there's so many different organizations out there that depend on us, to have meetings just so that their programs can continue. So that's what we want to continue to be. We want to make sure that we're here for us, to assist in many ways we can, continue to collaborate with community organizations, and again, just have a great place to do it at.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so what has been the response of the community so far? I know that this past weekend we had the launch of the fundraising drive, but what has been the response so far? Because we still need dollars to get all of this.
Oh, we do. Yes, we do. And let me tell you, I've never met a bad response, to be totally honest. But what took place this past weekend was the brainchild of Mr. Mark Cheatham, as a way of getting it to the community. We pretty much were working through the various community organizations that we know, presenting the BRIC program to. But when I spoke with Mark to try to get some support with this initiative, he said we got to get the community in. Mm-hmm. And he kind of took the reins, and I support him however I can. Again, creating that dialogue. Many people come to the table, and it just starts to form. And and next thing you know, you got this fabulous program. But since then, I mean, the response from this weekend has been very overwhelming. So many people, I have a couple of people calling me. I heard about it, send me the link and things like that. You know, we're going to double check to see whether or not, hopefully they made the purchase, but just so that they know, they can share it with other people
Mhm.
and have an opportunity to be a part of it. You know, it's a fabulous. It's very exciting to us all. It's very exciting, and we can't wait to see it.
Okay.
And I know, Anna, that you're asking the questions, but I would like to just ask you: that event, is that the kind of thing that you think we need to continue to do? What was your take on the event?
I thought it was a great community gatherer. I do think, though, that we need to continue that. You know, I'm not saying that what you've done up to this point, you've done an outstanding, a yeoman's job. But when people are involved, you know, and it brings me back to when Barack Obama ran for president. What did he do? He had the big money people, but what did he do to get the everyday?
Yeah, the small money, $10 donation.
Right, it was the $25.
Yep.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It was the $25 for his campaign. For his campaign, no one in history had ever done that, and that's one of the reasons why he really became the people's president. And so I think that in and of itself can set an example. In addition to the bricks, maybe something along those lines.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, again, this weekend just spurred on additional conversation. The vendor market that was very well received. You know, that's something that, you know, we're exploring about continuing that on a monthly basis or somewhat, you know, again, to continue to get people in the building to be a part of this property. And when the property is complete, then you'll start seeing yoga out there. You'll start seeing different exercise programs, open mic events, you know, all the creatives, you know, however we can feature them. You might see a black art display outside on the lawn, you know. So however we can feature and continue to use this space, you know, to impact the community and bring a positivity to the community, that's what we're looking to do.
Okay, so do we have to wait until the project is complete in order to?
Not completely, no,
Okay.
not completely, because the building is operational. And as you can see, you know, with the vendor market, you know, those discussions will continue about when will the next date be. And then as it gets warmer, you know, prior to construction, we will do some things outside as well. We might have a vendor market outside. We may have a farmer's market out there, you know. So things like that, that's community-based, community presented to the community will respond to. Absolutely.
Well, you know, that's really good to hear. And just on, you know, just going on the same lines, you talked about when the project is completed. So when do you propose that the project will actually start, like the groundbreaking piece, where people will start to see the construction starting to happen? And then from that point, when do you think that the project is going to be completed?
Yeah. Well, based on the information that I received from the architect, I think it's like a 90-day project. About a 90-day with no overruns or no shortage of material or anything like that, which can expand to 120 days. But I believe it's a 90-day project. But we're hoping to get a shovel in the ground sometime around June.
Okay.
And then from there, 90 days from there. So that's our hope. You know, of course, you got to get the permits and things like that. The architect has to finish his rendering and drawings so that it could be a situation where you go out to bid. And of course, you know, we need to continue to sell the bricks to support the program.
Okay.
So
Okay.
everything lines up the way it should. We're hoping sooner than later.
All right. Well, that's good to hear, because you know how people are
Oh, absolutely.
when they start donating their money.
Absolutely. Where my money at? Where
They
my money?
want to be able to see something. Yeah, Charles, you were getting ready to say
Oh,
something.
no. Keith said I was just tickled by the whole thing. You're right. People want to see, where'd my money go?
Yeah.
Yeah, say they do. I mean, and this is not just
Rightfully so. That's
not in our
understood.
communities, everywhere.
That's understood. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are some of the ways that our community can become involved in outside of or in addition to the bricks?
I just, this has just occurred to me while we were having this conversation, but I think, for instance, and then I've not talked to anybody about this, but I think that was like a Saturday car wash by homeschool group would be perfect for that building. Just they don't have to go inside. They come in and kids wash their car and then they leave. And I mean, it would be not only a fundraiser for the kids, but also a good way for people to acknowledge and know that the building is there to be used. That's just off the top.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's a great community project.
Mm-hmm.
We have a number of youth programs around that are fundraising and things like that. But I'm more concerned right now about making sure that we get the money to get the match.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's our concern as well. And we're exploring many avenues outside of just the brick program.
Mm-hmm.
To get it done, because I'm not sure, but you are aware that we do have some grant funding,
Yes.
and the brick program is serving as a match.
Yes.
So we're well on our way. We've done a lot, and I wish Mr. Whitley could still have been here, because we've done a lot within the property, and just to get it operational and functioning. And now, this is the next step, and we've been pretty successful with getting the funds. We've been pretty successful, and we're very confident that we're going to continue to get the funds, because particularly now people are aware. They weren't aware of what we were doing. We just, because a lot of times, you could tell somebody what you're doing, but nobody wants to come on board until they see what you're doing.
Well, see, that's why I'm saying.
But they saw
asking some of these questions.
Mm-hmm. And they saw
this weekend
right.
was the weekend where some people, they came in that building, and it was like, oh my God, the steps are my favorite. You know that.
Yes. And so many people, like you said, they just did not know what was inside or what we've done. Had they saw it 5 years ago, their hearts might have, hurt it. They might have been a little, because it was a tough road, bringing it back, fell on a little hard times, but we were not letting it go.
Right.
And we just put ourselves, did some brainstorming and got to working, put our boots on and start working.
Okay.
And people see that and they appreciate it, because when you told them, when we mentioned it to some community people, they thought, we might have bumped our head or something, because it was such a huge task.
Yes.
However, they see things are progressing, and people want to come along now. People want, hey, well, look, okay, let me see how I can help. So that's what
that's also part of the vision caster, right? Everyone can't see at the same time.
Exactly.
That the visionary sees.
Exactly.
So, add something.
Well, yeah, you mentioned the staircase as being your favorite. I just wanted to let you know that that staircase was a part of Tyra Banks's America's Next Top Model. When she was doing that, they did a show right in the mansion around that staircase as well. So you're in good company.
That staircase is fabulous. Oh my God. I mean, I could see I could see back in the day, or even today, with a debutante coming down or a bride coming down the stairs. I mean, like all eyes would be on them. It's spectacular. It's spectacular.
And with the three organizations that are involved with, you know, the managing and facilitating of the programs there, you know, we're currently doing mentoring programs. One of the programs that we do want to present to the community is like an etiquette class, you know, for those who may be on their way to the prom, so they can understand, you know, formal dining. And so these are the things that are on the table to bring the community, continue to bring our community in. There's a, you know, as soon as, you know, some of the restrictions are lifted, you know, we'll be gradually going back in more and more into the building and doing more programs. After school program that we have there, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That was meeting Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So there's quite a bit, you know, for the community to come in and get involved. And then we have the Family Success Center on the second floor. Now, the Family Success Center provide resources for about 500 families annually. Any family that may be in despair or feeling a challenge financially of some sort or emotionally, the Family Success Center, they're there to help them find resources to mitigate whatever issues they may have. So that's there. And they do community events. Matter of fact, today they had Grandparents' Day in the building on the first floor. So
you know, there's no doubt that you're doing a great job over there, and we commend the work that you're doing. And yet, we also want the community to be able to get behind this and to really buy into it.
Yes.
So that it really becomes their landmark.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
People protect and invest in something that really does belong to them, that they have a part in. And so before we go, because we're coming at the end of the show, Charles, is there anything that you want to share about the Black United Fund? I mean, no, excuse me, I'm still Black United Fund, the African American Fund of New Jersey, how people could become involved with that. And Keith, of course, how can people buy a brick?
Okay. Charles, you want to go first, or would you like for me to go?
Go first.
I have the link up.
Okay, well, go ahead. The last thing I want to say is really that the African American Fund of New Jersey really wants this facility to be a respite and a resource. That's our intention.
Okay. And how can people become involved in the African American Fund of New Jersey?
They can out to the Keith and what was one of the things that one of the ways that we raised money in the past, which we stopped doing for we lost several people through death who were critically involved, but we need to reestablish our payroll deduction plans with people who are employees not only of corporations but of state and federal institutions. They all have what they call United Giving plans.
Yes, they do.
And they can certainly look up their United Giving plan. And when that time comes, Black United or African American Fund of New Jersey is a recipient of funds in that regard.
They are now?
Yeah, and have been.
Okay. So why don't you tell people about that, because maybe they don't know. And that's another way, just like the AT&T employees started and started by building out the Black United Fund. They're able to then contribute to something that is building legacy in their own community.
Indeed. Well, we will you will hear more about this in the future, Anna.
Okay, great. And how do we buy a brick, Crease?
Yes, the quickest and easiest way, actually the only way to buy a brick is to go online and purchase your brick. We did it this way because we did not want to have manual transactions.
Gotcha.
Where people names could be misspelt or misread. So by asking people to go online to fill out the form themselves, and they can continue on, they can fill out the form, and then the next step would be how to pay. You can pay with your credit card, PayPal, or the various ways in which to pay for the brick. But we have a website.
How do people get to it?
I have a website.
Okay,
and it's everbricks.com.
Okay.
everbricks.com / the word donors with an S, DONORS.
Okay. Is that it?
/ there you go. Look at you. It came up. Awesome. Legacy Park. Yes. So that will take you right there. And from there, what you would do is there are two different size bricks that you can order. There's a 8x4 and there's an 8x8. The 8x4 allows you 3 lines of copy, which has 20 characters in each line. And if that's not enough, then you go to the larger brick, which has 8 lines, has 5 lines of copy, and it'll allow you 20 characters each lines.
Okay.
So yes, so those are the ways in which you can purchase a brick. You can also purchase a mini replica of the brick that you buy. You could order a mini replica to keep at your house or in your office, wherever you may like.
Okay, great. And so for our listening and our viewing audience, this is the place where you can get your brick to support Legacy Park, which is will be built at the Ambrose-Ward mansion right here in our great city of East Orange, New Jersey. And so I just want to thank you, Keith, Charles, and Roland in his absence, for being guests on Spotlight on East Orange Business, and for sharing some of the details, some of the history, and some of the future plans for what you are doing here in East Orange at Legacy, at the Ambrose-Ward Mansion, and the programs and everything else that are going on there. Thank you again.
Anna, I want to take a moment to thank you. You didn't have to do this, but you felt it important that the people of East Orange understand and know what we're doing. We thank you for scheduling this time to have us on, and hopefully the people hear us, and people heard us, and people come by and see us. 132 South Harrison Street.
Okay, great.
And I'll say what he said.
All righty. And so thank you again for joining us for another edition of Spotlight on East Orange Business. Spotlight on East Orange Business is your local business and community affairs program dedicated to highlighting the works of entrepreneurs, businesses, and business owners and businesses that serve the residents of the East Orange, New Jersey community. This program is sponsored by Thrive Leadership Institute. And if you are a business in the East Orange area and you would like your business to be featured, please reach out to us by, let me just bring up the address. The address for you to contact us is hello@thriveleadershipinstitute.com. Again, that is hello@thriveleadershipinstitute.com. And we will see you again for another edition of Spotlight on East Orange Business. Bye-bye for now.